Hey guys, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman, and it's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content. Today I'm going to review three fragrances, three clone fragrances. Some of them I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, others I'm showing for the first time in my videos, but the three fragrances come from the brands of Wataniah, Afnan and Khadlaj. Now the three fragrances that I'm featuring in today's video, two of them are actually used to be quite popular. They're nothing new to the markets. The one from Wataniah is called Qahir, and this one is a clone of YSL YEDP, and actually at one point in time this was hyped to be as probably the best clone of YEDP that you can get. The next one from Afnan is called Historical Olmeda, and this one doesn't feel so much like a clone, but it feels inspired by a few interesting and famous fragrances out there. And the third one is the one that probably is the least known at this point in time. It's a relatively new release from the brand of Khadlaj. It's called Azure Velvet, and this one is a clone of Parfum de Marly's Layton. And I'm going to start with this one, Qahir from the brand of Wataniah. As I said, at one point in time this was hyped up to be a great clone of YEDP, but unfortunately it was unavailable on our markets around here for a very long time, and finally about 2 months ago I was able to get a bottle of this one so I can test it and see for myself whether this actually is a good clone of YEDP, if it's the best clone of YEDP or not. And I did a first impression on this one probably like a month ago, and I'm not going to go over the whole presentation or anything about, in fact, all of the three fragrances. I'm just going to quickly show you the bottle up and close. This is a blacked out bottle with silver accents. This horse head, which is made out of metal, that serves as a cap, and a pretty tiny and weak sprayer, unfortunately. But let's talk about the scent, which is the more important thing. Now, this indeed does smell like YEDP, but especially in the opening, it's also kind of doesn't smell like YEDP, if that makes sense. Now, it carries that bright, fruity, bluish opening of YEDP with the sweetness, with the freshness, with the hint of spiciness, with the woods that YEDP is known for. But this opens up more spicy than YEDP. Now, with a bit of time, about a month after I got this fragrance, it actually started to settle a little bit and started to feel less spicy than it once felt when I first got this one. At first this used to have a very sort of an unpleasant sharpness and spiciness to it in the opening. Now it has settled nicely and actually resembles YEDP a lot more, a lot closer in the opening, but still, to my nose, this feels like a more spicier, like a slightly warmer, maybe more oriental take on the YEDP scent profile. After it settles on your skin and goes into the dry down, this actually becomes quite a bit close to YEDP, but still, to my nose, this remains a little bit sharper and a little bit more spicy. But in the air smells close, very close to YEDP, and is a pleasant scent for you and for people around you, just like the original fragrance is. Quality is decent, the performance is also good. This also develops a little bit of that sort of a soapy nature that I get out of the original fragrance, but one other difference between this and the original is the fact that that soapy vibe that I get out of Qahir is less pronounced compared to what I get out of the original fragrance. As I said, it has good quality, apart from that slightly sharp opening, which seems to have been changing for the better with time. Also, the performance is good. I've been getting about 7 to 8 hours of performance on my skin, which is slightly less from compared to what I get out of the original fragrance. Projects quite nicely in the first hour and a half, so performance-wise it's good. Price-wise, I personally paid around about 25-26 euros to get it, so that will be roughly around about the $30 mark, which is in line with many other clones of YEDP price-wise. But this is definitely not my most favorite clone of YEDP. The second fragrance that I'm going to talk about will be the one from Afnan, which is called Historical Olmeda. This one again has been around for a while, and this is an interesting fragrance that feels like a clone, but at the same time feels like it's doing quite a bit of its own thing. Now, scent-wise, this is somewhat close to Versace Dylan Blue. Also, you may find it smelling similar to Bleu de Chanel EDT, EDP, especially the EDP. But again, I think it does a bit of its own thing and it does it quite well. Sprayer, again, not the best one in the world, but for example, definitely better than the one on Qahir from Wataniah. And the scent, this is a blue fragrance that opens up similar to Dylan Blue, to Bleu de Chanel. We'll get that citrusy opening, that grapefruit note, which feels quite sweet, a bit of spiciness, but you also get a bit of greenness with this one. Now there's a juniper note in this fragrance, which is not very strong, which is a good thing because I've never been a great fan of that note. You know, juniper berries, those notes have never been one of my personal favorites. But in here it's used sort of lightly, so it's not overbearing for me personally. And in the opening you also get a bit of ambers, a bit of sweetness, and you also get some of that woodiness that the original fragrances are known for. When this develops on your skin, when it goes into the dry down, it becomes a little bit more woody, it becomes a little bit sweeter, there's some muskiness to it as well. And all around this is a very bluish type of scent that feels very masculine, that feels very versatile, and that has a high compliment factor to it as well. It's an all year round fragrance for sure. Again, it smells in a way, it will remind you a little bit of Dylan Blue from Versace, it will remind you a little bit of Bleu de Chanel, but I don't think this is a straight up clone of any of those fragrances. It's just something that has been inspired by them. It's a blue scent that smells very nice. Performance wise, it's a good performing scent without being something special. I've personally been getting around about 7 hours of performance out of it with moderate projection in the first about hour and a half. I think the performance and the projection complement the whole scent profile and the way that this comes across a little bit more mature, a little bit sort of on maybe slightly, ever so slightly dressed up. Also, this has really nice quality as you would expect from a fragrance that comes from the brand of Afnan. Price-wise, I had my eye on this fragrance for a very long time, but on our markets for a very long time this used to be quite expensive. It used to cost somewhere between 35 to 40 euros. It was a little bit out of that comfortable price range for me personally. That's why I never picked this one up earlier, and as soon as I saw it at a more reasonable price, I bought a bottle, and that more reasonable price was around about 20 to 23 euros. At that price point, I think this is a really good deal because again, this is very versatile, very masculine, and just works all year round, and it's very easy to wear. All around, this is another very good offering from the brand of Afnan. And let's finish off the video with the last fragrance, the third one that comes from the brand of Khadlaj, and it's called Azure Velvet. This one is a clone of Parfums de Marly's Layton. Now, in general, I've been very impressed with the brand of Khadlaj. At this point in time, I own quite a few, I think over 10 fragrances from Khadlaj. And generally speaking, when you can find them for a good price, for the right price, they offer a really nice ratio of quality versus price versus performance. And I was really looking forward to trying Azure Velvet because I really wanted to do what they have done with the scent of Layton, because I've said this many times, but Layton is a favorite of mine. First of all, nice bottle, good heft, metallic cap, plastic cap with metallic coating, which is a snug fit, so the quality of the presentation is good. You also get a pressurized sprayer, a very good one at that. But let's talk about the scent. And the scent is good. In fact, it's really good. Now, it's not a one-to-one clone to Layton. This, to my nose, opens up a little bit more spicy, slightly more peppery than Layton itself. It lacks a bit of that aromatic nature of Layton because I think the lavender note that has been used in making Azure Velvet is slightly toned down compared to Layton itself. Also, this has a little bit less sweetness than Layton in the opening, and relies a little bit more on the spiciness, a little bit more on the pepperiness, and a little bit more on the green side of the opening of Layton. But it smells really nice. The quality is really good. Once it goes into its dry down, this is actually where, again, just like many other clones, this gets very close to Layton. You'll get the vanillic sweetness. You start to get a little bit more of that apple as well. You'll get that woodiness of the original fragrance. You still retain some of that green nature of the scent itself, and it's again a very nice, very high quality mix of those notes, and it smells very similar to Layton. Still remains a little bit more spicy than Layton itself, slightly less sweet than Layton itself, but in general on the dry down this gets very close, and in the air also smells very similar to Layton. Again, the quality of the scent itself is very nice. Again, this smells like a slightly more oriental take on the original scent, and all that is really good. So when it comes to the scent, I have absolutely nothing bad to say about Azure Velvet. But next, let's move on to the performance, and here is where I have to say a few bad words, unfortunately. I really wanted this one to perform as good as it actually smells, but unfortunately this is where it's lacking a little bit. Keep in mind, I've had this bottle for a while now, probably over a month. I've given it quite a few good wears. I on purpose delayed this review because I wanted to give it some more time just to see if the performance will improve with some time, but unfortunately, at least so far, even something like a month and a half after I opened up my bottle, this is still more on the weaker side. Total longevity that I've been getting out of this fragrance is around about 6 hours, no more than that. And also it doesn't project very well, even in the first 1 hour, where usually most fragrances tend to project at least moderately. The best way that I can call the performance here is moderate when it comes to performance and projection, and that's very unfortunate because again I like the scent and the quality very much. Price wise, it's slightly more expensive, around about 30-35 euros here in Europe, so roughly around about $35 to $40, which puts it at a price point of something like this Rougier from Armaf, which unfortunately for Khadlaj and Azure Velvet offers a better performance. And versatility wise, it's a fragrance that's more orientated towards the colder months of the year, a masculine scent that really works nicely as a scent in the late fall, winter and early spring. So guys, in today's video I reviewed a few interesting and affordable scents. Qahir from the brand of Wataniah, which was hyped up to be a great clone of YEDP, and I acknowledge that it's a good clone, but not the best one in my experience. Historical Olmeda from the brand of Afnan, which offers the usual Afnan high quality. It's very versatile blue scent that smells a lot like Dylan Blue from Versace and Blue de Chanel from Chanel, but it also does a bit of its own thing. I really like this one as well. And the disappointment that turned out to be Azure Velvet from the brand of Khadlaj, mainly because it doesn't perform well. It's a good scent with good quality, but unfortunately the performance isn't here yet. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.